M.I.S.T tournament final at Yankee Lanes in Portland, January 20th, 2013. Final match between Jimmy Clark and Rich Hicks. Jimmy was a top seed today. Rich was the third qualifier, but moved up to the second spot after his last match. Jimmy starts the match out with an 8 count. We're bowling on the USBC National oil pattern today. It's a fairly flat 2.2 to 1 ratio oil pattern used at the USBC National tournament. Jimmy starting the match with a Brunswick Massive Damage bowling ball. It's got a high pin on it to give him a little bit of length, but put the surface down at about, it looks like about a 2000 grit Abralon surface, just so the ball start up a little bit in mid lane so it won't be so jerky off the back of the pattern. And Jimmy converts a spare. Rich Hicks up now. Rich won the last match against Tony Fernandez, 182 to 169 to advance to the final. And Rich starts off his match with a strike. Rich is using the Storm Lucid bowling ball. Originally comes at a 4000 Abralon. Rich's ball today is at only a 240 grit dry sanded surface. 240 grit. He's trying to get as early of a read on the pattern as he possibly can. Rich comes high for an 8 count, leaves the 4-7 spare. On this type of oil pattern, if you can leave makeable spares and then make them, that's your best chance for success. Jimmy led qualifying today with a 1042 for a 5-game total. Rich Hicks tied for second and third with Nelson Bowden with a 995. Our other top 4 qualifier was Tony Fernandez, came in at a 974. And a spare for Rich. This is Jimmy Clark's first final this season. Jimmy, no stranger to final matches in the M.I.S.T. Jimmy's a multiple-time M.I.S.T champion. Jimmy comes in high and leaves a Greek church.
Figured it out the last one. I regret missing the first one then. I wouldn't have played any role.
Well, you know, it's experience when you start bowling these patterns that we bowl on every season, and all of a sudden you start catching and make it final.
Like I said, these are the first time we got bowl on these patterns in like 5 years. We're used to a house shot.
That's just it, you know, it's a completely different world.
Jimmy, early in the match, trying to go for that spare, not going for the 3-pin count, going for the 4-7 side and getting 1 pin on the strike, on the spare. Rich, you just seen me run. Jimmy steps up on the left lane now, coming off an open. Jimmy chose to start the match on lane 29, which means that he'd finish the match last and let Rich Hicks finish the match first.
Yeah, we're gonna go home. I got some like Scott and his wife coming over to our house. Some family's coming over. My dad, my mom.
I'm staying.
I'm not
driving.
It's a long haul.
Yeah. look at some movies.
There you go.
Maybe go hit up Old Horror.
Oh, there you go.
Holiday tomorrow, so
I don't really remember. They said down in Portland last time we were down there.
there'll probably be a lot more people out tonight with that being a holiday.
Definitely.
Jimmy converts a spare. Now Rich steps up in the third frame. Rich working on currently a 19-pin lead.
Best Buy, I bought my wife a couple of years ago, the HD video, and I didn't even. Oh my god! Well, the HD is great. I love it because I can do like 2 hours of HD video on it, or 4 hours of standard video.
Get one from my phone.
Oh, it's huge. Like I take myself, I can analyze it stuff. Works good.
I have like a freaking dinosaur video camera. It's brand new, but it's been in storage forever. VHS, and like I had a hell of a time because I don't have a tripod. I had a hell of a time trying to set it up. Freaking hell.
Rich with the open in the third frame. The baby split's a tough conversion on this flat oil pattern because when you do like Rich did, you try to swing it out just a little bit too early and it just skates right by because those outside boards have the extra volume of oil on them. Definitely makes it a challenge shooting across lane at spares. So now the match went from 20 pins down to just 6 with Rich up in the fourth. Good ball, a little light for a 7-pin, but a really good recovery ball after tugging the last shot for the baby split. Just a 7-pin, single-pin conversion here, coming up for Rich in the fourth.
Uploading the video to YouTube takes forever because the HD videos on there, like a standard video on YouTube, it's like 3 hours to play HD video if it's over 15 minutes long.
And Rich converts the spare in the fourth. Like I said earlier, on this type of oil pattern, the best thing to do is keep the ball in play, leave makeable spares, and then make them. Jimmy staying with his massive damage, playing the deep inside line. What Jimmy's trying to do is get the ball down to the break point, keeping it inside of that outside extra volume. That way the ball won't jerk as hard off the back of the pattern. Great shot by Jimmy in the fourth. This is your classic stroker versus power player match. Jimmy with the speed and the revs, and Rich with the accuracy, playing a lot straighter on the lane. So this is a great dynamic to see in our final match. You get both styles on the lane.
No, you're fine. Because that thing cuts out a lot of the background noise. You're fine. I'm hoping I'm loud enough. I don't want to be
Great shot by Jimmy. A little bit of hold there. He didn't like it off his hand. He thought he was going to come high on that shot, but 29 obviously giving him a little bit of room inside to miss. So that's key going forward for Jimmy in this match. Jimmy took a 14-pin lead with that strike. He was up 4 going into that ball. Rich with another good shot off his hand. He was yelling hold, hold the whole time, but that ball was a high flush 10-pin. Bad break for Rich. He covers the spare. He'll still only be down 5 pins. Well, we got a minute here. I'd just like to thank Scott Bodlovic, manager of Yankee Lanes down in Portland, for hosting the M.I.S.T tournament. Letting us host the M.I.S.T tournament here today. Very friendly staff, very good establishment. If you get a chance to, they're on Riverside Drive here in Portland. Go ahead and check them out for open bowling. They have leagues during the weeknights, and really nice establishment. 32 lanes, and they do a great job. Now here's Rich up in the 6th frame. Good ball by Rich. High flush 9-pin. Really kind of snake bit his last 2 shots. He had a nice shot with a 10-pin on the right lane. Comes up, checks up on him. Solid 9-pin on 29. Really good shot by Rich. Now he's just got to make the spare. Alright, good cover by Rich. Big thing is just to keep it clean. You keep it clean here and then force your opponent to stay clean. On this type of pattern, it's not always easy to stay clean. Big shot by Jimmy. That extends his lead to 24 pins over Rich going into the 7th frame. Excuse me, 16 pins. 16 pins, not 24. Rich has 85 in the 5th. Jimmy working at a 101 pace in the 5th frame. Big shot in the 7th frame. Jimmy can extend that lead to 26 pins with a strike here on lane 29. Just got tight, just like last time. Last time he got fortunate when he pulled the ball a little bit. It held for him. This one here, he got just a little too far inside on it. Came up high for the dreaded Durbin, the 3-6-9-10. Famously named for Mike Durbin, former Pro Bowler, an analyst for ESPN. Jimmy staying with that massive damage this whole match. He's throwing three really good shots coming into this frame. Wants to stay clean here. Doesn't want to give any pins back to Rich and let Rich right back in this match. Jimmy with an 8 count out. Chopping the 3-9 off the 3-6-9-10. Changes the complexion of this match. Now Rich can actually strike here to take the lead. Rich coming in just a little light. Had a 5-7 standing for a second. But he was able to knock the 5 out late, leaving just a single pin spare. Rich spares this, and he takes a 1-pin lead going into the 8th frame. Wow, big miss by Rich Hicks there. Big miss. Missing the 7-pin to the right-hand side. Just caught that little bit of edge of oil on the edge of that oil pattern. Like we said, there's that extra volume on those outside 10 boards on this flatter oil surface. Makes the ball just float through that mid lane and not finish. Rich at 113 in the 7th, Jimmy at 123, both working on an open 10-pin match going into the final 3 frames.
Trying to do with that Nelson Bowden. Nelson Bowden.
Come on, man. Let's get one.
Big shot by Rich in the 8th. Big strike.
Yeah. Oh, it's been back and forth. Over here a little bit there. Come on, man. I'm up. I go to work. You go to work?
Jimmy steps up in the 8th frame. Rich buried a strike, high flush on the 29 last time. Let's see what Jimmy does. See if Jimmy can respond.
Oh, Jimmy, nice ball, kid. Nice ball.
Nice shot by Jimmy there. Just hung up on him on the last couple of feet. Didn't quite finish like his last shot did. Leaves a 10 pin on lane 30. Single pin spare. We'll still have a tie game. Good job on the single pin conversion by Jimmy. Like we said, single pins are hard on these type of patterns. Even though you think it's just one pin up there, when you got that extra volume oil on the outside boards, it's definitely not an easy thing to do. Not like your regular house shots where you have a high crown of oil in the center of the lane, outside dry board, so you can miss out and the ball will hook, and you tug it, the ball will sit there. On these type of patterns, your speed and accuracy have to match. They have to be dead on, or else you're in big trouble. We step up in the 9th. Jimmy had a 10-pin lead. Spared in the 8th. Rich with a strike in the 8th. Jimmy trying to set up his foundation frame. Big strike in the 9th for Jimmy. That strike there guarantees that no matter what Rich does, he cannot be shut out. Jimmy can go off the sheet for 203. Right now, Rich sitting on 113 in the 7th, a strike in the 8th. If Rich strikes out, he could have 203. We could be heading towards a tie game. Anybody's match. Rich with a tug in the 9th frame, just comes in high, leaving the 3-6 spare on lane 30. It's a big miss because Jimmy struck on the 9th. Rich spares this, he'll be down 10 pins going into the 10th, but Jimmy will be with a strike working. Rich has got some work to do to make Jimmy work in the 10th. Great shot by Rich on the first ball in the 10th. He needed that strike desperately, being down 10 pins. He has 153 in the 9th, strike working in the 10th. This is a big shot. Rich doubles here. If he goes double 9 spare, he forces Jimmy to strike on the first ball in the 10th to win the match. Great ball by Rich. Great shot. Second ball in the 10th. Big strike. Count is huge on this ball. Right now, Jimmy's sitting on 143 in the 8th with a strike in the 9th. Jimmy right now, if he went 9 spare strike, could be 183. If Rich strikes on this ball, he's 183. Rich strikes here. He forces Jimmy to strike on the first ball in the 10th to win the match. Otherwise, we could be heading towards a tie and a sudden death roll-off. Oh, big bad break there for Rich. That 8 count, that right there. Means 181 for Rich. Really good comeback that game, striking in the 8th, sparing in the 9th, doubling in the 10th, and an 8 count on his last ball for 181. That forces Jimmy to go any kind of spare and 9 pins to win the match. A strike on the first ball is a lock. Strike on the first ball, Jimmy wins the match. Anything less, it could still be Rich's game to win. Jimmy with a really good ball there. Bad break on the 10 pin. Great shot, under pressure. Can't ask for anything better than throw a ball like that in the pocket. Now Jimmy needs a conversion here. 9 pins. He's going to walk away with his first M.I.S.T title of the 2012-2013 season. Huge conversion coming. Jimmy covers the 10 pin. Big shot. Right here, 9 pins wins the match. 8 pins we have a tie. Anything less, Rich is a winner. Huge shot for the title. On this type of pattern with these two great bowlers, you'd expect nothing less than it to come down to 1 ball for the win. Jimmy, no stranger to pressure. Jimmy won the all-events title for the main state tournament last year. Which earned him a trip to the Masters in a couple of months. Here it is, last shot. Huge ball, 10 pins for the win. Great finish for Jimmy Clark, winning his first title of the 2012-2013 season. Wins the match, 183 to 181 over Rich Hicks. Great match by both gentlemen.